Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the CSTV. I'm your host Kathleen Egaltoto, Madam CS, and this is the Striker. Stay tuned and have it raw and real. The Striker today leads us to the North Rift part of Kenya. It is Operation Let Us Secure the North Rift. The question is, are we there all? Are we not there? Let's have this conversation. Welcome back. Now, a lot of things are happening in Kenya currently, but the major issue or the major thing that has been the talk of today, has been the talk of almost everybody, is about the banditry attacks in the North Rift. And this is not the first time Kenya is registering cases of banditry and bandit attacks in the North Rift. It is a practice, these are attacks that have not only claimed lives of citizens, livestock, but also lives of men in uniform. Way back in 2012, we had around 24 police officers being killed in Kabido. We also had another large number of police officers dying, I think in 2014 near the Suguta area. And you know, it is something that has been occurring, and there's always a call that let's secure the lift, let's secure the North Rift. And we have had several government promises and call for peace, Operation Let's Secure the North Rift, disarmament programs, etc. But unfortunately, all these efforts seem not to work. And then it raises a question on what actually is the problem. Right now as we talk, we have an operation ongoing in the North Rift. But even as the police and the Kenya Defence Forces are on site trying to restore peace and bring some sense of organization and sanity in the region, we are still getting cases of attacks by bandits. You can imagine an operation is ongoing, but it's still attacks are ongoing. So it raises the question that, are we actually there in terms, or are we even on the road towards securing the North Rift, or actually we are, just playing hide and game 6. So I thought of today that we need to have this conversation, and perhaps we need to examine ourselves as a nation and look at the problem in the North Rift from a very holistic angle and see exactly where could be the problem. I was happy last time the former regional commander, the regional commissioner for North Rift, Honorable Natembea, was giving out some of the issues actually which cannot, or which hinders the securing of the North Rift. And what we saw actually were people trying to, to blast down what the former commissioner was saying. And it's like some people got really hurt that he had to come out and say such things. This a man who has served in that region and knows exactly the problems they went through in the office when it comes even to implementation of these operations. But we need to ask ourselves, actually, as a nation, are we just doing side shows in terms of all this operation, or actually there's a political will towards ending this banditry? First, we have to start by looking at the problem in the North Rift as not only a security problem, but a problem that emanates from the economic point of view. So the problem in the North Rift, actually, it is not only a security issue, but it is an economic issue. And why I'm saying this is that, in this cattle rustling, the aim is to take away animals, the livestock, and these livestock are not just taken and maybe killed somewhere. Of course, there are those ones that are sometimes killed, but we have a large number of these livestock finding their ways to the slaughterhouses in Nairobi, to the meat and choma joints in the city. So we have people who are benefiting actually from the conflicts and the banditry attacks in the North Rift. We have people who organize where are we going to raid? How many cattle do we project to get from that place? Where is the market, and how are these cattle going to be transported from the point of raid to where they are needed to be converted to cash? So you normally overlook this when we are talking about banditry in the north, and we bring a lot issues to do with ethnicity. It's not about ethnicity. Forget about that it is a conflict between the Pokot and the Turkana and the Samburu. It has nothing to do with the negative ethnicity. Totally, it has nothing to do with border disputes. It has everything to do with the economic benefits that the warlords in the North Rift are actually getting by ensuring that banditry continues to take shape in the region. And this is why I'm saying that, yes, in as much as we are going to get the bandits attackers, when you are going to get the raiders, yes, it's good to get the raiders. But the question is, are we interrogating these raiders to give us their sponsors, their supporters? And, Wakenya tuache kubebwa uchinga. And let's look at the North Rift and the northern part of Kenya historically. Hii ni place yenye, when the colonizers came to Kenya, that is the British colonial masters, they overlooked the place. There was no development taking place there because according to the colonial master, the place didn't have much to offer compared to the White Highlands, like the places like central Kenya, some parts of Rift Valley where we have now plantation agriculture in terms of tea, etc. So the soils in the northern part of Kenya were not that much welcoming to the economic agenda of the British masters when they came. So in one way or another, even infrastructural development towards the north actually was left behind. Like the north was never developed when you compare to other parts of the country. But remember, it is more than 50 years since we got independency, and the people in the north have been voting leaders, members of parliament, MCAs, and it's been 10 years down the line. These people have been voting women representatives, senators, and governors. But still, many of those places remain inaccessible, poor roads, no schools that are well established, no water sources that people can really rely on. It tells you a lot that we have political class, the political elite of the North Rift and the northern part of Kenya should be the first people to be questioned with regard to the current bandit attacks in the country and in the region. There's no way you can tell me that the government gives a budget to a county, to a constituency, to a ward for over 10 years, for over 20, 50 years down the line, that we have never solved the issue of development in the North Rift. There is somebody, and trust me, these are the political elites and the entrepreneurs of war in the North Rift. They will never want the northern part of Kenya to develop. They will never want to have accessible roads in those areas. They will never want the region to have permanent power holes for water in that region. They will never want even these people to try a different alternative to economic livelihood apart from cattle keeping. Because the moment the North Rift and the northern part of Kenya develops, game over, business over for them. So, we are here always telling the government to do something, The people of the North Rift should be able to pressure their leaders to do something. Because the same MCAs, the same women representatives, the same MPs, the same governors, the same senators that you are choosing, what have they done for the last 10 years, for the last 5 years? Since devolution came, what has happened in those regions? Why do we have other counties, other constituencies, crying we want extra police posts, and they are given, but this is never given to the North Rift, to the northern part of Kenya. Why do we have very magnificent roads and very passable tarmac roads in other counties that even never had those roads initially, but right now they have, but this is not happening in the North Rift? It tells you something. There are people who are making money and who are economically benefiting from the poor state of infrastructure, economic growth, and all the misery that we see in the North Rift. And these are the people, instead of channeling money towards development in the region, they are channeling money towards, purchase of guns. And when sometimes we want to condemn the common citizen in North Rift, we should remember this thing. All the time when we're talking about famine, when we're talking about drought, all the time it has to start from the counties in the north. It tells you something that sometimes these are the people who don't even have access to clean water, access to good food. Some, you find children, we see them being shown in the TV so malnourished because they cannot even access, other forms of food that can be able to bring the right nutrients into their bodies. So you want to tell me that these people who are always struck with drought, hunger, and famine actually can be able to afford to buy the kind of weapons that are normally traced from these bandit attackers? They want to tell me that somebody who cannot even raise 1 meal a day is able now to raise money to buy a gun. Yeah? Raise money to get this kind of shoes and modify them, to the level that they look like animal hoofs. Wakenya si wajinga bwana. There's something actually we are not honestly questioning. And you know what makes it so bad is the fact that when these politicians have been arrested or are arrested, and these leaders and business people have been arrested for interrogation, now we see some political allies and some crazy lawyers standing to say that the arrest is political witch hunt. Why do we politicize the economy and security of this nation? So before somebody has been arrested, thanks God to the independence of the Kenyan institutions, that is the executive, the assembly, the legislature, and the judiciary. So somebody is arrested before he's even arraigned to court. There's a court order saying that the person should not be arrested. Nowadays, criminals in Kenya go for court injunctions. So by the time you are going to arrest them, they have a court order indicating that you should not arrest them. So the question is, from all this, do we have actually a will to end this banditry? No. People, let the leaders in Kenya not to lie to Kenyans that they want to end banditry. Because the leaders from the North Rift should be the one at the forefront to fight this. But so long as these leaders are silent, so long as these leaders are benefiting from these bandit attacks, my friends, this thing will continue. Even if we have a president who has just fallen from heaven, it will not end. Unless and otherwise, the leaders from the North Rift and the northern part of Kenya have been interrogated well and put into books with regard to the security and economic menace happening there. That's the truth. Even if we had Jesus Christ himself as the president in Kenya, so long as there's no political will from the region to end that menace, it will not come to an end. There's also another problem that has to do with our chain of command, Like right now we have an operation, and this operation is combined efforts by the police, the National Police Service, and the military. Now, if KDF has to be deployed fully to do that operation and lead that operation, then it means the National Assembly has to approve that. Apparently, right now, that is not the case. And that's why we saw the Honorable, the CS, Adeni Duale, and the CS Interior say that actually the operation is not led by the KDF, but it's led by the Kenya Police Service. Now, the question here is, we send the military and the National Police Service in the same place to do an operation. And then we give people who had failed, the Kenya police, the police had failed in that operation. They had failed to bring that peace. Then we give them the upper hand to lead the operation. What we are going to get there, we have seen this happen even during the rescue missions, during the Westgate Mall attack in 2013. Blame game between the Kenya police and the police and the military. What we are going to see there is a blame game. The military will say, as we did our work, it is you did not do your work. So, do we have a direction, a chain of command that is unified and bringing these two different agencies together in this particular operation? And I'm like, the security situation in the North Rift is actually an emergency. It's a national disaster. It is a disaster, honestly. And the Royal Society of Kenya has already written saying that for KDF to be there, they must have a parliamentary approval. We don't say no to that, But now it is becoming now an issue to be politicized. Instead of people sitting down, stakeholders sitting down, the Security Committee in Parliament, the Law Society of Kenya and the Judiciary, wherever they call themselves, and the Ministry of Interior and the Ministry of Defense, they're supposed to sit down by now and give Kenyans a direction on this. Because what needs to happen, or what ought to happen in the North Rift for people to see that it's actually serious? We have had police officers being killed. We have had civilians being killed. Some schools have not opened. Children are at home, and these same children will sit for the same exam with the rest of the children and students in the rest of the country. And we will use the same grading system to grade them. People have been displaced. So, what exactly do we need to declare that situation a state of emergency and have that urgent parliamentary whatever sitting to approve for fully KDF operation in that region? Why? So you see, we are being here pampered. There's an operation, we have sent KDF, but what procedure has been followed to do that? And when that procedure has been preached, what is the country doing? What is the Minister of Interior, the Minister of Defense, Parliament Security Committee, the Royal Society of Kenya that is very fast to come out and talk about the breach of the Constitution in as much as the sending of KDF there? What have they done? Because actually people are losing their lives there. What have they done? So you see, Wakenya tunachezwa sisi hapa that actually there's something happening when people are really fighting that which was happening already from within. Another problem lies with our media. And I want to say that this begins from the Ministry of Interior and our leaders. We have seen all the time our CS Interior coming out to threaten pundits in the media. You have a press conference to threaten pundits. You hold a press conference to tell the nation what the government is going to do to end banditry. You hold a press conference to tell the whole world that you are going to do an operation to end banditry. My question is, Do bandits actually operate in a vacuum? No. These are people who live with us. Some of the meeting you are having with the leaders from the region, those same leaders are the financiers and the supporters of those bandits. And then you have a whole day meeting telling them what you are going to do. You have given information to the enemy already. When you call the press and start giving the press information, and we understand how our Kenyan media is good when it comes to spreading negative information, because then it gives them a lot of likes and a lot of views within very few minutes. Anything bandit attacks, utaiona kwa media houses. Every media house will report about it. Terror attacks, every media house will report about it, because that then captures the attention of the viewers. So we announced on Monday in Nairobi that on Wednesday we are starting an operation, and you expect to go to that region and find the bandits waiting for you to come and do the operation, to come and arrest them or to come and kill them. Wakenya zi wachinga bana. There ought to be some ethics and some form of secrecy when dealing with violence and terrorism. And so is the case when we are dealing with bandits and criminal gangs in the country. We cannot be giving every information to the media. Kenyans right now where we stand, we don't want to be given promises. The campaign is over. The cabinet secretaries have the positions, they have the authority, they have the resources. They should keep quiet and work. Kenyans want to see the outcome. So when we see the CS Interior all the time giving press conferences and talking about threatening, even the former CS Matiang'i will tell you that he could threaten the confirmed gang in Nakuru, and then that same evening the confirmed gang hits people. And this is what has been happening. We could have our CS Professor Kindiki talk about threatening the gangs in the North Lift. The same evening, they will attack. He will go and visit a place in the North Lift. When he's left, they attack. What does that tell you? Your threats are falling on deaf ears. So I think going forward, we need some solutions. One, we need political will from the people, from the leaders in the North Lift. Don't lie to Kenyans that you have been neglected. Leaders from the North Lift, don't lie to your citizenry. You are the people funding this. You know who are the bandit attacks. You know why that region has not been developed for all those years. So you must have the political will to end violence and terrorism in the banditry in that particular region. Two, there's a need for economic development and infrastructure development in that particular region. Ending banditry in that region needs an economically sustainable region, needs accessible roads. Even when the police are looking for these bandits, honestly, when you look at the terrain that they have to go, hakuna gari nyeneza ingia huko. Maybe if you use the air-oriented operation, and how many planes does Kenya have to do all that, and the resources, And then another thing, there's need by the CS Interior to stop talking and act. You are giving too much information to the media. And this goes also to the media. Stop reporting too much about violence and terrorism in this country. Stop reporting too much. Today the operation has won this, it has done this. No. You are giving terrorists and bandits hints of what is happening. We must have a security system that is silent in terms of its operation. We have seen countries like USA and so many go into operations and we don't get even to interviewing, the soldiers there who were there, going to the villages there to ask the people how is the operation ongoing. What's wrong with the media in Kenya? You don't need to go there to ask the people how the operation is ongoing. Shut up, remain in Nairobi, report other things. Stop reporting about, stop wasting your energy all to the northern, to families asking them, oh, now how is the operation going? How do you get it? You are giving information to pundits. You are feeding information to pundits. And this, I cannot say that it is unintentional. It is intentional, because you know very well that pundits in this country do not operate in a vacuum. So we need political will. We need economic development. We need a silent operations. And more importantly, we don't need promises. We need actions and a unified chain of command, especially when we are sending troops into operations. You cannot send the police and the military and then say that the police is leading the operation and the military is just like assisting. It has never happened like that. So we really need to be very serious when it comes to handling the problem in the North Rift. And let's not treat this problem as just a security issue. It is a political issue. It is an economic issue. That those people will never want that place to develop for their own political and economic gains. Otherwise, bring your opinions. Let's keep the conversation going. Kindly remember to like, share, comment, subscribe, and like this video.